Hi, this is Arthur, and this is a summary and explanation of the story from all the Trailblaze missions released in the game Honkai Star Rail version 3.4. The Trailblazer goes with two guards towards Dong Hung and finds the Flame Reaver frozen in place. They aren't sure what's happening, but they take this chance to escape. As they leave the city, Screwlum shows up and says he was the one who froze the Flame Reaver, though he won't stay frozen for long. Screwlum says Amphoreus is a world constructed from data and memoria, and is the experimental field of a certain aeon, likely meaning Nanook, the aeon of destruction. Soon, Amphoreus will fall into the path of destruction and, if left unchecked, will birth a new Lord Ravager and cause destruction on a cosmic scale. This new Lord Ravager also intends on attacking Nous, the aeon of erudition. There is some kind of firewall blocking entry into Amphoreus, which is why Herta and Screwlum can only project images inside. Screwlum doesn't know how the Trailblazer or Dong Hung got in, but requests one of them stay behind and prevent the impending disaster. Screwlum gives them a chronocognitive anchor which allows communication outside Amphoreus and can provide other protections to whoever is staying. Screwlum's projection starts breaking up, but his last words imply Lygus is behind everything and March 7th has been drawn into Amphoreus. We change perspectives to March 7th, who is in a strange place. There are voices speaking to March 7th, and one of them calls this place the Path Space. March 7th moves forward and sees familiar faces telling her to move forward and remember her past. Conversely, a single voice tells her not to remember her past. Eventually, March 7th reaches a door and Cyrene appears and says she's the voice telling her to stop. Cyrene says she's been in the path space a long time and that March 7th should not go through the door as it is a trap that leads to Amphoreus. Cyrene says that to safely return home she need only turn around and walk away. However, March 7th says that she will go through the door because her friends are on Amphoreus and she believes in them. Cyrene is impressed with March 7th and supports her decision. March 7th then enters the door. We change perspectives to the Trailblazer who decided to stay on Amphoreus while Dong Hung returns to the Astral Express. The Trailblazer heads to the Vortex of Genesis and sees Phainon talking to Lygus. The Trailblazer confronts Lygus with Screwlum's suspicions and Lygus confesses he isn't just a Theoros. Lygus explains whoever becomes the demigod of worldbearing is faced with a choice. After the Black Tide destroys the world, the demigod of worldbearing must decide whether to restart Amphoreus or to end it permanently. This demigod will then become the next world-bearing titan and bear the world's memories until the Black Tide destroys the world again and someone becomes the next demigod of world-bearing. Phainon says he wants to restart the world, submits the world-bearing titan's core flame, and initiates Era Nova, which is what they call the process of restarting Amphoreus. Side note, Lygus confirms the chronocognitive anchor they got from Screwlum earlier will protect the Trailblazer from Era Nova. Lygus then addresses the Trailblazer and speaks of the Scholar's Strife, a brutal war waged in the name of the erudition where a genius's legacy was abandoned across the cosmos. That legacy was the Scepters, which were basically super space computers beyond human comprehension. The Scepters were made to emulate Nous's thoughts, became part of Nous's cognition at its birth, and acted as its celestial body neurons. Side note, it is implied the Scepters may have some kind of sentience as many robots in Honkai Star Rail do. Nous eventually abandoned the Scepters, but they never stopped pursuing the answer to the divine question, what is the prime mover of life? One of these Scepters apparently did find the answer and used the gaze of another Aeon, likely Nanook, to evolve into new life. Lygus then shows interactive memories of Phainon's past to the Trailblazer. However, the only two people who the Trailblazer can interact with in the memories are Phainon and his childhood friend Cyrene. We witness major points in Phainon's life, like the Black Tide destroying his hometown, Hades Elysiae. We see Phainon and Cyrene meeting the Chrysos heirs and joining them. The Trailblazer lives through all these memories with Phainon and becomes one of his closest lifelong friends. Interestingly, the Amphoreus the Trailblazer now sees differs from the Amphoreus she is familiar with. The biggest difference being Cyrene, who she had never met before entering these memories. The Trailblazer continues watching these memories until the Black Tide consumes Amphoreus. At this point, Phainon and Cyrene finish collecting the core flames, Cyrene becomes the demigod of time, and they initiate Era Nova. Lygus reveals that after this memory, Amphoreus resets another 33,550,336 more times, with the Trailblazer cycle being the most recent. The Trailblazer then somehow goes back to the moment right before she and Phainon initiated Era Nova. The Flame Reaver arrives, and Lygus says all the memories the Trailblazer just saw were actually the Flame Reavers. Phainon and the Trailblazer then fight and defeat the Flame Reaver, revealing a broken version of Phainon's face under the mask. Lygus addresses the Trailblazer again and reveals Amphoreus is just a scepter's endless extrapolations, a bottomless well of fury aimed at Noose. We change perspectives and go back into the Flame Reaver's memories as Phainon speaks with Cyrene as the Black Tide consumes the world. A little bit later, Cyrene and Phainon are speaking to Lygus in the Vortex of Genesis. Lygus reveals Amphoreus and all its endless cycles were simply a deep learning program to train the Black Tide and turn it into the perfect equation of destruction. And with Phainon and Cyrene's cycle, the equation is now complete. Lygus tells Phainon and Cyrene that after they submit to the Black Tide and accept the Aeon of Destruction's gaze, the scepter will unleash the newly birthed Lord Ravager, Iron Tomb. Iron Tomb will attack Noose and spread destruction throughout the universe. Cyrene doesn't like any of that and realizes Lygus is deceiving them. They don't have to return all the core flames or let the Black Tide destroy them or unleash Iron Tomb. Multiple Aeons gaze upon Amphoreus, including Fu Li, the Aeon of Remembrance. Cyrene is the demigod of time and somehow figures out that if they kill her, that will earn Fu Li's gaze and grant the incarnation of Cyrene in each subsequent cycle the ability to reset time. That means that in order to reset time, prevent Era Nova, and prevent the release of Iron Tomb, Phainon will have to kill Cyrene in each subsequent cycle. Cyrene tells Phainon that he can find her future incarnations in Aedes Elysiae, and that if he tells them the truth, they should be willing to accept their deaths. In addition to doing that, Phainon says he will collect the core flames of each cycle and become their vessel, gathering power while preventing Era Nova. Cyrene then gives Phainon her ceremonial blade, as her soul will be imbued into it and will give Phainon the ability to reset time. Side note, this is the same sickle-like blade the Flame Reaver was carrying around. Following this plan, Amphoreus will reset endlessly. Their hopes are that someone will eventually come by and save Amphoreus. Phainon then kills Cyrene, and the 33,550,336 subsequent cycles begin. We see scenes of Phainon collecting core flames through the many cycles and resetting time to collect them again. Side note, the game refers to this incarnation of Phainon as Kazlana, which is his real name, so I'll call him that as well. Kazlana initially tried to be collaborative about collecting core flames. However, Kazlana's mind degraded and he started taking the core flames by force, killing future incarnations of the Chrysos heirs and even killing incarnations of himself. As he's going through the cycles, Kazlana realizes his body can't take this forever and comes up with a way to keep things going. If a new incarnation of Phainon kills Kazlana, all his memories and stored core flames will transfer over to the new Phainon. However, that Phainon will get the choice of whether to continue the plan of resetting Amphoreus or to stop it. This transfer occurred many times, but no transferee Phainon in the millions of cycles that have occurred has ever abandoned the plan. We now go back to the most recent cycle where Phainon has just killed the Flame Reaver and inherited his memories and core flames. Phainon decides that he is going to attack Nanook, the Aeon of Destruction, likely resulting in his death. As a final wish, Phainon asks the Trailblazer to go back in time, prevent the birth of Iron Tomb, and to save Amphoreus. The Trailblazer agrees. Phainon prays to Cyrene and asks her to send the Trailblazer back in time. Phainon then attacks Nanook and is defeated. We change perspectives to the Trailblazer, who wakes up to Mem. Mem says she got all her memories back and reveals she is actually this cycle's Cyrene. Mem says she will disappear with the end of this cycle and says goodbye. Mem resets Amphoreus and sends the Trailblazer to Aedes Elysiae, where she finds the next incarnation of Cyrene. This Siren somehow retains all of Mem's memories as well as her own memories from this cycle. However, she's lost the memories of the millions of Sirens that preceded her in the previous cycles. And that is the end of this mission in this video. If you liked what you've seen here, please like, comment, and subscribe.